Welcome, everyone, to this Benzinga interview. Today, I'm here with Daniel Schneeberger. He's the CEO of Anebulo Pharmaceuticals. Daniel, thank you for joining us. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Dan, we're really excited to learn some more about the company and do a deep dive with you into some of the exciting things you're working on. Let's start with Anebulo in general. Can you give us a brief history of the company and also talk about your recent licensing deal with Ligand, some of the details there?
Absolutely. So, what we're doing at Anebulo Pharmaceuticals is we're trying to develop a drug that's going to be an antidote for cannabis and for THC, much like naloxone is for opioids. And we started working on Anebulo a couple of years ago when we read a paper about a birthday party, kid's birthday, that resulted in about 20 people being admitted to a hospital or an emergency room after accidentally ingesting THC infused brownies. And we knew from our pharmacology knowledge that there must be a way to develop an antagonist, because THC binds to the CB1 receptor in the brain, and that's an interaction that you can block, much with what naloxone does for opioids. And we were surprised that this didn't exist on the market. And our first thought is, well, maybe there's not much need for a drug like that. But then we started doing more work on the cannabis market and saw that actually there were over 1.5 million emergency department visits at the time annually for that were cannabis associated, and the cannabis market, the growth, it was just exploding. And we spoke to physicians, and they said there's a very high unmet medical need. They would be very excited to have a drug. So at that point in time, we started working on it more actively, and looking at different compounds that we could develop or license. And we found one that we thought was by far the best. It had everything that we could wish for. It was held by Ligand at the time on the shelf, and we negotiated a licensing transaction with Ligand, and we're able to bring it in-house, get the company funded and founded, and recently, just last May, IPO'd, are trying to build some awareness now for our company and for the condition.
Wonderful. That's a great start, Dan, and some great background there. You spoke a little bit about that cannabis overdose, the children's birthday party, and things that were going on there. Synthetics are the fastest growing class of drugs worldwide. Can you give us a little bit of background about what Anebulo is specifically doing to address that? Why is it so important to you? And some details about things like the zombie outbreak in New York, as it was termed, and some things there. How is Anebulo working to address those, and what do you see as being most important in getting to the root of that problem?
Absolutely. So I just want to make clear that that vast majority of use of cannabis and cannabinoid use in the United States is with the natural plant and with THC, but there's also this rapidly growing segment of synthetic cannabinoids. And synthetic cannabinoids are basically the equivalent to what fentanyl is to morphine or opioids in general. They're just they're synthetically produced, synthetically designed, and they bind to the CB1 receptor much more tightly, are much more potent, than THC. And we know that this can lead to much higher, much stronger intoxications, and it can occasionally even result in death. Because the nice thing about THC is, and I'm sure a lot of THC users know this, that it is a partial agonist, partial antagonist at the CB1 receptor. So you're hitting, the gas pedal, but you're simultaneously also hitting the brake always a little bit with THC. So you can't really get to a level with THC, that would be fatal in terms of CNS effect. But with synthetic cannabinoids, they often are full agonists, so you don't really have that brake. So you only have the gas pedal. And we know that intoxication with synthetic cannabinoids can be much more serious. And so that's for us is an area with very high unmet medical needs, and we're looking at that very actively. We think that we should be able to block the receptor interaction just the same as with THC. We also have the analog with naloxone, right? For naloxone, it doesn't matter whether somebody has overdosed on morphine or heroin, which are natural products, or fentanyl, which is a synthetic, much more potent drug. it does the same thing, just blocks the receptor interaction. And we think that's also the case for CB1. So we think that we should be able to treat cannabinoid overdose regardless, by which substance it is caused.
Excellent. Very well said, Daniel. Thank you. We appreciate that. Can you give us a little bit of information about some of the phase 1 trial data that was successful you had recently, and some of your upcoming catalysts as well, things we can be looking for on the horizon for Anebulo?
Right. So the great thing about this compound is that we think it's very much de-risked by the phase 1 work that Ligand did for us in the past. The drug has been in phase 1. It's been given to healthy volunteers, so we know the drug is rapidly absorbed by the body when given as an oral. We know it's well tolerated, it was safe, and Ligand gave it for up to 2 weeks in the phase 1 trial, and they saw a lot of weight loss with that drug, which increases our confidence, that the drug actually gets to the brain and does what it's supposed to do. Because with the CB1 receptor, funny thing is, if you activate it, you stimulate appetite, and this is known as, the cannabis munchies. And if you block that same receptor, you lose weight. That's been shown with other CB1 antagonists as well. And we have that shown, Ligand has shown us with our drug as well. So we know that after just 2 weeks, participants lost 13 pounds. So, we know it's very potent, and they get a lot of confidence in our compound. And our plan going forward is we have designed a study in the Netherlands, run it in the Netherlands at a single center where THC is legal, and we can move very rapidly. The study is already approved by European regulators, and we will start it in Q4 of this year. And since it's a single dose study where we basically give THC and different doses of our drug, and hopefully we'll be able to show that we can block the THC effect. We should have data, within 6 months, which puts us into the first half of next year. And, we're very excited about this study, and we think that this will be a very big catalyst for our company. And because for the first time, we'll be able to, deliver the proof of concept and show that we can, end the THC high, THC intoxication, that we can antagonize cannabis. And we also have the right dose to move forward with in our phase 3 trial. So we're very much looking forward to that.
Wonderful. That's great to hear, Daniel. We look forward to seeing it. A final couple of closing points here, just about the future and some of the potential you have. Can you speak just briefly to the quality and the background of your board, and also speak briefly to what you see the potential of the market cap and your addressable market as you move forward, if the drug is approved, and as you continue to move through clinical trials?
Okay, thank you very much. So, we believe we're able to put together a very high quality management team. We have Linda Klumpers, our Chief Scientific Officer, who's world-renowned expert in the development of cannabinoid drugs, and we have a very experienced independent board with legal experience, regulatory experience, and we have some people there that also, frankly, were quite successful at business development and selling companies. So, we believe that we have all the expertise there that we need to move forward as a company and ultimately be successful and monetize on the opportunity here. And in terms of market opportunity, you're talking about over 1.7 million emergency department visits that were cannabis associated in 2018. That number is growing 15% annually with the explosive cannabis growth. So we think that by the time we're going to launch, there'll be 2.5 million visits. We think that we can probably penetrate a quarter of that, if we can get into the guidelines and execute on our commercial strategy. And if we price it at $1,000 per treatment, which is currently at the midpoint of our range, then you're looking at a TAM of $2.5 billion in potential revenue stream of over $600 million in sales. That's for our lead indication. Of course, we believe that the market over time will expand, because we think that if a drug is available and people know about it, they'll be more likely to seek medical help, medical attention. And, so for us, also the big vision down the road is to expand the use into consumers and into outpatients. An initial step could be, or some kind of, could be as a prescription drug, for instance, over mail order pharmacies. But this is not something that's going to happen within the next 5 years, but maybe more of a 10-year vision. Would be to become an OTC consumer product or work towards that. Which I think down the road could be very attractive, because you're not just talking about overdose at that point, but just talking about cannabis intoxication in general. If you're high and you want to end your high, if you're not having a good experience, you're having a bad trip, need to work, need to drive home, whatever, you could take one of our pills. So 10 years down the road, that's an important part of our vision. And I think the cannabis market will evolve simultaneously. Talking about legalization, that's gaining speed on a state level, potentially down the road also on a federal level. And I think 10, 15 years from now, we'll be using cannabis in this country like we're using alcohol right now. And that makes me personally very excited about the long-term prospects of our company.
Wonderful. We see the same thing on our end. Very excited about the long-term prospects. And again, a pleasure to be working with you. Daniel Schneeberger, the CEO of Anebulo Pharmaceuticals. Thank you so much for coming on and sharing some more. We look forward to speaking with you again soon and seeing your progress in the near future.
Thank you very much.